this is Jo from Maths Tutor Me. Today we're doing fractions and we're going to be adding and subtracting mixed numerals. There's two methods that we're going to learn today for the addition of mixed numerals. The first method is that you can add the numbers out the front and separately add the fractions together by getting a common denominator. The second method is that you will convert each number into an improper fraction and then you will get a common denominator to add the fractions together. Okay, so there's two methods and I'm going to be showing you how to do both of those methods today. Now down here it also says, but when you are subtracting, it is easier to convert into an improper fraction. Okay, so which is the second method, convert to improper fractions and then subtract. Okay, in some questions it is possible to do the first method, but not in all of them, so it's just easier to stick with improper fractions when subtracting. Okay, so let's show you how to do these questions. So for number 1, calculate the following using both methods. Okay, so because it's an addition problem, we have the two methods up here that we want to do. So I'm going to call it method A. Okay, method A, the first one. So we want to add the whole numbers and add the fractions by getting a common denominator. Okay, so my whole numbers are 2 and 3. So I'm going to go 2 plus 3. They're my whole numbers. And then I'm going to add my fractions. This part here was 2/3 plus this fraction 1/5. Okay, so 2 plus 3, that's really easy to do. That's 5. Now we want to add these fractions together like we learnt last lesson by getting a common denominator. So 3 and 5, my common denominator will be 15. So I'm going to write two fractions here with a denominator of 15. To change this fraction to have a denominator of 15, I have to multiply the 3 by 5. So we have to also do the same thing to the top. We have to multiply 2 by 5, which will give me 10. For the second fraction, the 5 is turning into 15, which means we're multiplying by 3. Multiply the top by 3 will just be 3. Okay, so now that we have the common denominator, these fractions can be added together. So our 5 will be sitting out the front. 10 plus 3 makes 13 over 15. Okay, and that's the answer using the first method. Let's do it again now with our second method. Okay, so which is to convert into an improper fraction first. So 2 and 2/3 as an improper fraction. Remember that the denominator always stays the same. It always stays the same. And we want to multiply the 3 times 2, which is 6, and add on the top. So that makes 8. Okay. Plus, do the same thing again for the second mixed numeral here. The 5 will stay on the bottom. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 1 more is 16. Then we need to get a common denominator of 3 and 5, which is 15. So underneath, two fractions with 15 on the denominator. 3 must be multiplied by 5 to get to 15. So I have to multiply 8 by 5, which is 40. 5 has to be multiplied by 3 to get to 15, sorry. So I have to also multiply the 16 by 3, which is going to be 48. Okay, so some of the more difficult times tables, you might have to do a little multiplication at the side to work them out. So now we have the common denominator, we can add the numerators together. 40 plus 48 makes 88 over 15. Now we need to put our answer back into the mixed numeral form. So we need to work out how many times 15 goes into 88. So we want to count by 15s. So we'd have 15, 30, 45, 60, 75. Okay, that was 5 lots. Oops. 5 lots of 15. That makes 75. And we had a remainder of, from 75 to 88 is a remainder of 13. Okay, so we get the same answer as our first method. This method does look slightly shorter and easier at this stage. So you can actually choose which method you would like to use. Question 2, we want to find 4 1/4 minus 2 3/7. We're subtracting, which means we need to use the improper fraction method. So the denominator is 4 for the first fraction. We multiply 4 times 4 is 16, plus that on is 17. Subtract, 7 is on the denominator of the second fraction. 2 times 7 is 14. Adding on the 3, we'll get 17. Okay, now we need a common denominator. So 4 and 7, my common denominator will be 28. Okay, that's just multiplying 4 times 7 together for this question. Then to work out the numerators, 4 has to be multiplied by 7. So I have to multiply 17 by 7. Okay, so this might be a time where over on the side somewhere, you might want to go 17 times 7. 7 sevens are 49. 1 7 is 7 plus the 4 is 119. So we have 119 minus, now this one, 7 times 4 will give 28. So now I have to times 17 by 4. Oops, 17 times 4. So 4 sevens are 28. 4 times 1 is 4, plus the 2 makes 68. Okay, now I need to subtract those, 119 minus 68. So again, we might need to do a subtraction now, 119 minus 68. So it might be handy to have a spare piece of paper. 9 minus 8 is 1. 1 minus 6 we can't do, so we would take the 1 from here, so it becomes 11 minus 6, which is 5. So when we subtract those, we're going to get 51 over 28. Okay, so this is just my calculations over here on the side. Now finally, for this question, I just want to turn this back into a mixed numeral. So how many times does 28 go into 51? Well, it's only going to go once. There's only one whole lot of 28 that I can fit in there. And then from 28, counting up to 51, there would be 23 as a remainder left over in there out of 28. All right, let's have a look at question 3. On Thursday, Julie bought 2.5 kilograms of cherries. On Sunday, there was 1 2/3 of a kilogram left. What fraction of the cherries were eaten or was eaten? So she started off with 2.5 kilograms. If we subtract off what is left, that will tell us how much is eaten. So I will need to put those into, because I'm subtracting, I need to put those into improper fractions. 2 times 2 is 4, plus another 1 is 5 on 2, minus 3 times 1 is 3, plus on the 2 makes 5 on 3. Getting a common denominator, the denominator would be 6. This fraction needs to be times by 3, so timesing 5 by 3, I get 15. This fraction needs to be multiplied by 2, because 3 2s are 6. Timesing 5 by 2, we get 10. Now I can subtract. 15 minus 10 is 5 over 6. Okay, so there is 5/6 of a kilogram of cherries left. All right, so that's the end of my explanation today. Time for you to have a practice. So here is just a few questions for you to have a try of. Pause the video, try to do these 3 questions, and then restart the video to see the answers. So for question number 1, it says to use both methods of addition to find 5 1/4 plus 1 5/6. So the first method was to add the whole numbers, 5 plus 1, and then add the fractions, 1/4 plus 5/6. Now, 5 plus 1 is 6, to add the fractions, we need a common denominator. Now 4 times 6 would be 24, but there's actually a smaller denominator that we could use, which would be 12. Okay, so let's make it 12. That will make it easier for us. I would need to multiply 4 by 3 to get 12, so multiplying the top by 3 is 3. 6 times 2 is 12. 5 times 2 would be 10. Adding those fractions together, 6 is out the front, 3 plus 10 is 13 over 12. Now for this situation, we've actually got an improper fraction here. That actually means there's another whole that could be taken out of here. If I take a 12 out of this 13, that would give me another whole number, making it 7 wholes, and there would be a 1/12 left. Okay, let's look at the second method for B, changing them into improper fractions. So 4 times 5 is 20, plus the 1 is 21. Plus 6 is the denominator for this one. 6 times 1 is 6, plus 5 is 11. The common denominator is 12, just like before. So timesing this one by 3, times the top by 3. Timesing this one by 2, times the top by 2. Adding those together, 63 plus 22, we're going to get 85 over 12. Okay, and finally, we need to put that back into the mixed numeral form. So knowing your 12 times tables, you would have 12 sevens are 84. So it's going to go 7 times, and there'd be a 1 left over. So 1/12. Question 2, evaluate. We have a subtraction here. So let's use our improper fraction form. So 2 times 7 is 14, plus the 3 is going to make 17 over 7. Minus 5 is the denominator of this fraction. 5 ones is 5, plus the 4 is 9. Okay, then we want to find a common denominator. We'll have to just times the 7 times 5 for this one, which will give us 35. Okay, then we want to do, we need to find the numerator. So 7 times 5 was 35. We have to times 17 by 5. So again, on a scrap piece of paper, you can work that out, but 7 times 5 is 85. This denominator needs to be multiplied by 7, so let's multiply the top by 7. 9 sevens are 63. 85 minus 63 is 22 over 35. Okay, and that is a proper fraction already, so there's nothing else to be done for that question. Final question here, number 3. Josh ran for 1 1/4 hours. Then he played soccer for 2 2/5 hours. How long was this altogether? So we need to add together his 2 times, 1 1/4 hour plus 1 2/5 of an hour. Now you can choose either method. We haven't been told which method to use. We can use the separation method, or we can use the improper fraction method. What you might find is that it might be easier just to lean towards the improper fraction method, because it's one that you can use all the time for adding and subtracting. Okay, so I will use that method for this one today. So 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5 over 4, plus the denominator is 5 here, so 5 times 1 is 5, adding on the 2 is 7. Okay, 4 and 5, my lowest common denominator would be 20. This fraction is multiplied by 5, so multiplying the top by 5 gives 25. This one's been multiplied by 4, timesing 7 by 4 gives 28. Adding those together, we're going to get 53 over 20. Okay, now we need to know how many times does 20 go into 53? Well, 2 20s is 40, so it's going to go 2 whole times, and that will give me a remainder of 13 out of 20. Okay, so altogether it's 2 and 13 out of 20 hours that he is doing soccer and running. Okay, so that is the end of this lesson today on addition and subtraction using mixed numerals. Join me again next time. Until then, keep practicing. Bye for now.